that wasn't me saying that he can play in the 90s, because I feel like he will be cold in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? But who's to say he wouldn't be like another Dominique Wilkins or somebody like that?
Nah, bro.
That's disrespectful.
It's a difference, bro. Nah, bro. Nah, I can't let you get away with that one, bro. You put your super
If
cap on for that one,
is him, if that's LeBron in the 90s, who is Jordan today? Paul Pierce of the modern era?
Bro, you crazy, bro.
if Bron is not.
On today's episode of Bridge the Gap. That's right, you guessed it, folks. We got the Bridge the Gap Bracket Challenge champion here live in the flesh. You know he gotta come on, show us how to fill out our brackets, show us how to pick a champion, and talk his mess. But that's not all we talked about with the champ. Someone on the set thinks it's time to move on from Aaron Rodgers. Is he right? That's tough. And of course, we gotta talk NBA basketball, the Nets, the Suns, the Clippers, the Lakers, and we gotta ask the champ who his GOAT is. Do I have to say it? Y'all know what time it is. It's Bridge the Gap, this time featuring the champ. Tune in, let's get it.
Welcome back, Bridge the Gap fans. Welcome back. We got a special episode for everyone today. As you guys can see, we got the champ here today. The champ, the Bridge the Gap Bracket Challenge winner here live in the flesh with the championship belt. Tyler, how you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling good. Man. I was pretty confident in my pick, and I rode it all the way through. Pretty excited that you sent the belt. The life's good.
I feel that. KC, how you doing today, man?
You know me, another day, another dollar. I'm always doing good. Let's do it.
Well, Bridge the Gap fans, we're going to do a lot of jumping around today because we want to get the champ's take on not only college basketball, but a lot of other topics. We're going to talk some NBA. We're going to talk some NFL. Obviously, we're going to talk about the tournament. And that's where we want to start. Like I said before, Tyler did win the bracket challenge. Now, this is the second time he's done this. I don't know how he does it. He won it when it was the timeout bracket challenge. He's won it now. The first ever Bridge the Gap bracket challenge. So I just want to know, and I'm sure the fans want to know, Tyler, how do you do it, man? What do you look for when you are, making your picks for your brackets?
That's a good question, man. Honestly, when I do my brackets, especially as of late, it's been more of stat based and a little bit of like analytic thought. You know what I'm saying? Just because I don't watch college basketball as much as I did when I was younger. Mm-hmm. So I don't really follow a lot of different teams. Like I follow Wisconsin and like the hometown teams, Marquette. I kind of peek in and see what they doing, but I don't really follow unless it's like a super bona fide superstar we know that's gonna come out. Then I might peek that team, but other than that, I don't be watching it that much. But so like when I do my brackets, it's usually just like stat based. I'm checking to see what the team is doing against other major schools, how they competed, what's their record against like top 25 teams, if they even played top 25 teams. I pay attention to all of that. So when I go through the brackets, that's how I usually fill them out. Baylor, I seen a little bit of Baylor this year. And from what I saw, I was just like, yeah, Baylor is dangerous. You know what I'm saying? They got some shooters.
They different.
You know what I'm saying? Quick, they're athletic. They get after it. They some dogs out there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They'll swallow you on defense with the zones and all the little defensive schemes that they have. So, like, I knew I knew if they was going to face Gonzaga, it wasn't going to be, you know what I'm saying, what everybody thought, Like, I was trying to tell you. Yeah, Baylor just, I don't know, they just looked like they was ready the times that I've seen them play.
Yeah, that kind of speaks to my next question I was going to ask you, because I was going to ask you, like, what you saw in Baylor, because you saw something, obviously, that nobody else saw. Like, honestly, you were the only person to pick Baylor to win it all. And, whole time, I had Gonzaga. Most people had Gonzaga. A lot of people had Illinois. But like I said, you the only person to pick Baylor, and we all ended up seeing why, because them boys was just. I feel like offensively they were cold, but like for me, it was really the defense. Like the defense was ridiculous. They, like you said, right, swallow you up on defense, and it was really crazy to watch. It was crazy to watch. KC, go ahead, jump in here, man.
Yeah, I just want to kind of touch on Gonzaga for a second. I know AJ and myself, we have this conversation a lot about Jalen Suggs. Now, AJ is a little more high on Jalen Suggs than I am personally. I don't think he's nice, but I don't know if he's top 5 nice in the draft. What are your thoughts on Jalen Suggs based off what you saw in the national championship game?
He's a good player. I mean, I feel like he's top 5 in the draft. I got to see, because this is the thing. College isn't the only way to the league now. So you got to think about, anybody coming from overseas. Yeah, you got to think about anybody from overseas. You got to think about, anybody coming from any other leagues now. It's just so many different avenues people are taking to the league. So I don't know if there's going to be some other sneak picks out there. But I do think he's top 5. He's a solid player. He kind of reminds me of like Jamal Murray a little bit, just a little bit. But I mean, what did he end up with in the championship?
I think he had like 22 or 24.
Yeah, somewhere around in there. What happened was early in the game, he got in foul trouble early. So he struggled in the first half. He really kind of turned it up more in the second half. But
Butler,
he had no help though. Like he had no help whatsoever.
It wasn't about the help. Butler was on him all game. That's what the help was.
Yeah.
Mr. Timmy and then Kispert, man, them boys weren't trying to step up at all. So he was out there by himself most of the game.
Yeah, they got exposed. They got exposed,
for being soft. I said it before and I say it again. They was soft out there. They was real soft. I'm still a little upset about that, bro. They was real soft out there. You know what? We're gonna change the topic, bro, because I don't even want I don't want to keep on talking about these Zags, bro. I want to transition really quick to football because KC said something very, very controversial about the Packers last episode.
And I meant it.
I don't know if you saw it, but I'm going to just kind of reiterate what he said. KC believes, as a Packer fan, that the Green Bay Packers should move away from Aaron Rodgers and start the Jordan Love era.
Today. Well, not today. After next season.
So I was about to say today?
No, after next season.
Tyler, what's your take on that? What's your take on? I kind of know where you go,
first.
But what
was your reason? What was your reason for saying that? Like, why you feel like Aaron Rodgers is over the hill? You feel like Rodgers?
No, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is over the hill at all. But I just think that the Packers have reached the point where they can accomplish they've already accomplished everything with Aaron Rodgers. They put the team around him. He had a defense this year. They should have beat the Buccaneers. Do we really know if Aaron Rodgers is really that dude? Like, I feel like we've been hoping that he could be that dude, right? We've been hoping that he's more Tom Brady, but maybe he's not Brady. And I think that this whole contract situation, they owe him like $40 million. Like, I think after the season, trade him while you still can get a lot of assets back and build around Jordan Love.
That's oh my god. That's I don't even know what to say, bro. Like, man, I definitely wouldn't do no shit like that. Oh, well,
hey, you good? Let it fly.
I know if I could or you. I'm just like, bro, I would not do nothing like that, bro. Wow. Okay, so what about Aaron Rodgers' plays tells you that you if the defense performs, the defense has always been the Packers' downfall. It's always been their downfall. It hasn't been Aaron Rodgers, right? Why?
For the most part, yeah.
So why would you get rid of him? Like, he just won an MVP. He just came off a career year. Like, he had a great year last year, like one of his most efficient years he's ever had as a player. And you telling me you want to, after this next year, you want to move away from him when it seems like he probably could last into his 40s as long as the Packers keep him off his back, because they O-line always end up injured or, you know, just not adequate enough to keep him up. So, I mean, I don't understand why you would get rid of him. You know, he has offensive pieces. He might need a couple more. If you give him a defense, he would be a champ a few more times than just one, like guaranteed.
Now, I've said this.
If you look at what Brady did in the championship game, he threw 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. You know what was the difference? And Rodgers did 3 touchdowns and 1 interception and more yards. And he lost. What does that tell you? That tells you the defense is the difference.
The defense is the difference.
Brady.
Rodgers outperformed Brady?
Yes.
No, he didn't, because he didn't make the play. No, he didn't, because he didn't make the plays when it mattered most. You mentioned the defense.
Brady,
they're down.
They're in the third, in the second half.
And when he needed to get a first down, he was able to get the first down.
Either. Down the stretch, he wasn't making plays either. He was bailed out by the refs a few times. So he wasn't making plays either down the stretch. The difference was they got ahead defensively in the beginning. That was the difference.
I think
KC brought them all the way back.
I think KC is basing a lot of this, and we've had this conversation. KC. But I think KC is I think he's basing this for the most part solely off of the NFC Championship game. And you and I, Tyler, disagree on that game too, because I still feel like Aaron Rodgers had opportunities where he could have exploited the defense, and he could have at least tied the game, taken the lead potentially. And I still think he could have ran in for that touchdown. I still think the coach should have went for it on that. I think it was 4th and goal, 4th and 10, somewhere around in there. I still think that should have happened. And I don't solely blame Rodgers, but I do look at him like, you could have played better.
He had 3 opportunities to get it done, and he did
have opportunities. But where me and KC differ on this topic is, I agree with you, Tyler. There's no way in hell I get rid of Aaron Rodgers. He's coming off an MVP season, and at the height that they're at right now, I feel like they're not going to get back to. If the goal is to win a Super Bowl right now, you have to keep Rodgers. If the goal is to rebuild for the future, then okay, then you move on with Jordan Love. But right now, if you move Jordan Love in there right now, or even next season, you're not going to have a chance to compete for a Super Bowl probably within the next 4 or 5 years, because it's going to take him some time to develop. That's just me. I'm keeping Aaron. I told KC last episode I'm keeping Aaron Rodgers as long as he's breathing. That's his.
Let me ask you. Go ahead, Tyler.
No, he said, you know, what I would say. I'm not letting Rodgers go for nothing. Like, I'm not trading him. I'm not letting him go on free agency. Like, you know, unless he gets extremely disgruntled and when he wants to leave or something like that, there's no way I'm letting him go. I'm riding him till he retired.
Okay, that's fair. I just want to ask you all this. So we keep talking about this MVP season that Rodgers had. The previous 3 seasons, was Aaron Rodgers playing at an MVP level?
No, but he was
yeah. So last year, yeah. Last year,
no, he was not at an MVP level last year.
Bro, that was in the NFC Championship. He was playing great.
Barely
this year. He was like an above average. He was in, like, if Rodgers is in the top tier right now, he's probably in the tier below, like the year before. Because I feel like he had decent stats, but I just feel like it did seem like he was starting to be on a downward slope.
Probably because
had a great season this season, just because he came in pissed off. You know what I'm saying? He had a little time to rest and, you know, get his body right. Because you got to remember, he was injured previous years other than that year before that.
That's true.
He was. I personally like. I mean, I feel like we'll just have to agree to disagree. But me personally, like, I'm Aaron Rodgers. Like, thank you, but you got one more season, and then you hand the keys over to Jordan Love. Like, we keep trying to prolong the inevitable. At the end of the day, and I hate to say this, but Aaron Rodgers is not Matt LaFleur's guy. At the end of the day, like, we see Aaron Rodgers because we've watched him develop as a quarterback throughout the years for the Packers, but Matt LaFleur saw something in Jordan Love to move up to get him. At some point, you just got to give the keys to him.
I don't know about now, though.
Yeah.
Well, after this season. So, okay, one more question. Next year, Packers, I said they go 13-3 again, 12-4, whatever. They get to the NFC Championship game again and lose. What do you say then?
It depends on how they lose. If they lose, right? If they lose because of Aaron Rodgers, then you might have a different take. But if they lose because the defense give up 21 in the first half and Kevin King playing like me out there at corner, we having a different conversation. It all depends. And it depends on what you want. Like, do you want to? The Packers right now are competing for championships, bro. They're competing.
So why aren't they winning championships?
Going back to that NFC Championship game, like, Rodgers did everything he could to win that game. Like, I know he had moments where he could have did more or he could have went over the top, but stat wise, he did better than Brady. And then on top of that, they had flukish plays. Like, 2 of Brady's touchdowns was just like, man, just because they had that Hail Mary pass at the end of the quarter, which was like, how they supposed to let that happen at the end of the half? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then they had another one where Aaron Jones fumbled. They got the ball back, and then he had like a wide open touchdown to like Gronk, right?
Yeah, I think that was the start the second half, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. So it's like plays like that. That's just like, y'all couldn't have, the defense couldn't have stepped up and stopped them to a field goal. You know what I'm saying? Or something. Because
that's fair.
Like, huh?
I said, no, that's fair.
Yeah, so that's 2 whole touchdowns that could have been, stopped, or at least, stopped for a field goal,
Right.
So I mean, that's not on Rodgers, that's on the defense.
All I know is the defense gave Rodgers 2 picks and he gave them 0 first downs. Then they held him to a field goal and he didn't run it in. At some point, we have to hold Aaron Rodgers accountable. I'll be the one to do it.
But I do want to do a little transition here over to basketball, and I want to bring up the Brooklyn Nets, KC, the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah,
because
let's talk
about it, because I just want to give my take on them real quick, and then I want to know what your response is, Tyler. My take on the Brooklyn Nets is they are extremely offensively gifted. Obviously, we know they're the greatest offensive team, looks like, in history right now. But their biggest hole, they have a few holes. 1, they're soft inside. 2, they have a rookie head coach, Steve Nash. He played the game, but he's a rookie head coach. And they're the 25th ranked defense in the league. Now, who knows if they'll improve in the playoffs, but I doubt it. And so I look at them and I say, yeah, you got, the 3-headed monster in KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. And yes, you have other supporting pieces that can score, but if you can't defend, if you're 25th ranked and you're going up against teams that are elite on both sides of the ball, I'm talking top 5 on both ends, like the Sixers, like the Lakers, and et cetera, how do you beat those teams? How can I say you'll beat them in a 7-game series? To that, you say what?
I mean, it's going to be a struggle for them. Honestly, when the game slows down, it's going to be real interesting to see how each player adjusts, because it's a team, but I still look at them individually for some odd reason. They play a lot of ISO ball, so it's just like, it's going to be real interesting to see how that all comes together in the playoffs. When the game slows down and you're not able to get fast breaks and easy buckets, and everything is a grind. It'll be interesting to see how, especially like James Harden and Kyrie respond. I feel like KD, in any circumstance, he's gonna do what he do. But the real thing to watch is how James Harden and Kyrie respond in the playoffs. I mean, the only thing is right now, I don't know who in the East will stop them. I mean, I feel like they might struggle with the Sixers just because Joel Embiid is going to be, you know, beast down there in the paint to handle. So, but I feel like they'll be able to get past the Bucks. Honestly, I mean, I'm a Bucks fan, but I have to be honest. I feel like they'll be able to get past the Bucks just because of star power. And the Bucks, they got Giannis, but they not really that big down there either. Where like, you know, they got Brook Lopez, but he like shooting 6 threes a game. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
he ain't down the paint. So I think they would. I think the only team that struggle with really is going to be the Sixers. Now the West. I mean, I don't know who's gonna come out the West.
You know who coming out the West. Don't play.
I mean,
you know who coming out the West. Stop. Huh?
They healthy right now, so I gotta go with, you know, they talking about they might slip all the way down to the 8th or play something.
It's not gonna happen. Listen, the Lakers right now, they've been shocking me, bro. Like, even though it's been frustrating watching them without Bron and AD, the Lakers have gone like 6 and 7 without at least Bron in the lineup recently. This road trip I think they went on. I think there was like
I've been noticing them winning a little bit.
They've been sneaking. They've been winning the games that they have to win. Like, they'll go beat the Hornets without LaMelo and without most of the rest of their pieces on their team. They snuck that win in against the Nets. Like they win the games that they have to win, and then most of the time when they play the great teams, they taking the L. But the subpar teams, they usually sneak that win in, and as long as they can continue to do that, I think the Lakers will still be in that 4th and 5th seed. Also, keep in mind, Jamal Murray just tore his ACL. So if they stay within that 4th or 5th seed and they play Denver right away,
I feel like Denver are dropping though.
Yeah, Denver's
think so.
done.
Yeah, I feel like Denver's gonna start dropping.
Out of the playoff picture?
Not out of the playoff picture, but I feel like they're gonna get the lower seed than the 4th or 5th. So
okay. Yeah. I want to bring it back to the Nets real quick, because AJ and I have been having very spirited conversations when it comes to the Nets this season. I personally do not think, well, let me put it this way. I think that the Nets would have been better off at the trade deadline getting rid of Kyrie Irving for depth and size. I said one of the names that I brought up was Andre Drummond at the time. Obviously, we just saw them lose to the Lakers in part because they had no answer for Andre Drummond. They tried to fix it with LaMarcus. They tried to fix it with Blake Griffin. It didn't work. I thought that Kyrie, he has a lot of off the court stuff that he's dealing with. I thought they would have been just better off with James Harden, KD, more depth and size. What are your thoughts, Tyler?
I feel like that would have been a solid move for them at the time. It's tough for me to give up Kyrie, though. You know, I feel like Kyrie, as much as he's talked about in the media as a person that's kind of disruptive or he does his own thing, when he plays, he scores a ton and he's extremely efficient. Like, it's crazy, you know, that he'll go out there and drop 35 and be shooting like 45% from 3 and almost 60 from the field. Like, you know, it's just he balls out when he's out there, and I feel like he affects the game in an extremely positive way. I don't know if you'd be able to get Drummond is a good piece, but the value I don't feel like is quite the same, you know. And then getting some pieces, I feel like they got some good pieces when they went out and got those buyouts with Aldridge and Blake. They're good pieces. I just feel like it's going to be hard for them. I only feel like it's going to be a problem when they meet the Lakers, if they meet the Lakers in the finals. That's the only way I feel like they will have an issue. Just because of they do have the size, but yeah, they got Andre Drummond, but they got AD too, you know. And they got Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol is a pretty good center as well. So they're just all around big, and they just take up a lot of space. And one of the things that Kyrie and Harden like to do is draw the defense in with the drive and kick. Those other players are going to have to step up and make some shots. So
big shots at
right.
that.
Mm-hmm. So
would you?
And they got so much firepower. It's just like I feel like those players could hit those shots. But I feel like AD, Drummond, and Gasol will give them some problems.
Not to mention, if you don't have paint presence and you soft inside, you don't have nobody to really contest LeBron when he drives to the rack either. You know, sometimes Bron like to get down on that low post too every now and then. I feel like what's going to do it for them is I think against a lot of other teams, they'll play Blake and they'll play LaMarcus Aldridge for those points. And a lot of other teams may not have answers, but if they match up with the Lakers, they're going to have to play DeAndre Jordan. And even with Joel Embiid, they're going to have to play DeAndre Jordan. He's not the greatest defender, but he's the best post defender that they have. And he's a big body. They're gonna have. Now we just saw Joel. I don't know if y'all watched the game. Joel was just eating him up today. But at the same time, it's the best shot you got because LaMarcus and Blake, they ain't it in the paint.
DeAndre Jordan ain't it. DeAndre Jordan ain't it either.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's their only hope.
Jared Allen. I felt like he was a real good piece for them, and he was better than DeAndre down there in the paint.
Much better. But I want to ask you
with that trade. But
I want to quickly ask you this because me and Casey been going back and forth on this. So he brought up that James Harden thing. He knows I have to ask this question in a playoff series. And I know he's gonna side with me on this. In a playoff series, Tyler, would you rather have? So say before they
don't try. Just ask the question, AJ. Just ask the question.
No. I want to get some context. Right? Okay. So remember the depth that Kyrie and KD had before they made the trade for Harden, right? Okay.
Right.
So say it's the same thing. Say it's the same depth without Kyrie, but they got Harden and KD. Would you rather have in the playoffs? Would you rather have the Brooklyn Nets with Harden and KD in that depth, or would you rather have Kyrie, KD in that depth?
Man,
who you rather have. You know who you rather have.
Kyrie, because I've seen him perform in the playoffs at the top level. You know, I've seen him do it. But the thing about Harden, man, it's his potential of what he can do. Because not only is he gonna get the buckets, but he's a great facilitator. Like he out there throwing 15 dimes and you know what I'm saying, grabbing 8-9 boards along with like 28. You know what I'm saying? Like those are crazy numbers. But like in the playoffs, it's just a little different for him. So, you know, like I said, it's gonna be real interesting to see how he come out. If he come out to try to prove something to the world about his playoff play, because, you know, over these years with Houston, he's been real questionable. So that's the only reason why I would say Kyrie.
We all know in the play. Well, let me get this last little thing up, then I'll let you go, Casey. We all know what Harden, in my opinion, we all know what Harden is in the playoffs. And once the game slows down, I brought up the defense of the Brooklyn Nets for a reason. The Brooklyn Nets are sweet defensively, and I really think it's going to show it rear its ugly head in the playoffs, whether it's in the finals, Eastern Conference Finals, second round. That's, whenever it happens, it's going to happen. But if your defense is suspect, right, and you banking on outscoring a lot of teams, one, that's going to be extremely difficult. But two, in that situation, I'd rather have Kyrie only from the standpoint of you're going to have a lot of nip and tuck games at the end, because these Eastern Conference teams, they can score too now. You know what I'm saying? Like the Bucks, they can score. You know what I'm saying? And they can defend. The Sixers, they got shooters. They got Embiid. Like they can score as well. You're going to have a lot of close games coming down the wire. And I'd rather KD, he's clutch as well, but he has his moments where he's not hitting big shots. I'd rather have Kyrie Irving trying to close that game than James Harden, who we've seen. He gets you game 1, game 2, game 3, but as that series ways, know how James Harden is. He's just not the same James Harden. So that's why I'd rather have Kyrie. That's just me. I'll let you take it.
I feel the same way. Like I said, the only reason why I will pick Kyrie is because of the playoff performance I've seen. But the player itself, the concept of the player, I would have James. If he was to perform like how he performs in a regular season, then I would say James Harden.
I think a lot of the reason why James Harden fizzles out in the playoffs is because he goes like 110 all the time during the regular season. Like it's always scoring. And when he was in Houston, he had to do basically all the facilitating and the bulk of the scoring. I feel like you put him in a situation where he has KD and he can do more facilitating and doesn't have to do as much of the scoring, he would be better. But also I wanted to say too, like this Kyrie Irving thing, like in the playoffs, like don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from Kyrie Irving. Kyrie hit probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest shot in the NBA finals history, period. But outside of that moment and really that series, Kyrie Irving has done nothing in the playoffs. So like, I feel like it's one of these situations, and I've said this before, this isn't the first time I'm saying this, where Kyrie had one moment and we think that it'll be duplicated. But ever since then, Kyrie Irving has done nothing in the playoffs. As a matter of fact, his teams have actually been better without Kyrie Irving on the team in the playoffs. What are your thoughts, Tyler?
That's a valid point. That's a valid point. I just, but I mean, again, we've seen him go out there and ball out, you know, and bring his team home and win a ring, you know, and be a major part of that. Dropping 40 and 40, and then dropping the game-winning, you know, the clutch shot, you know, in that game 7. So I mean, we've seen him at the highest level perform when he needed to. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, his Boston situation wasn't ideal, you know, but that was kind of off whack the whole season. So I mean, that is what it is with that. The Brooklyn thing, well, he didn't play. Nope, he didn't play last year in the playoffs for Brooklyn. And then the year before that, it was with the Cavs. No, he was
Boston.
He was with Boston.
They lost in like the second round or something.
He was hurt one of them playoffs, though, wasn't he?
That's the year they went to the Eastern Conference Finals without him.
Without him. That's right. I remember that. Okay.
Well, rookie JT.
Right.
They was balling. And then in 16, they won the ring. 15, he played well. He just got hurt.
I think what it is we can't forget about, yes, we think about the finals when we talk about Kyrie, but there were games that led up to the finals too. There were series that led up to the finals too. And LeBron didn't get there by himself every year they went to the finals. Now, when Kyrie left, yeah, it was Bron. But leading up into the finals, Kyrie had great moments against the Pistons. He had great moments against Boston. He had great moments against great teams leading up into the finals. And then he had a great final series. So my thing is, we haven't seen it from, I have to see it every chance we've gotten to see James Harden perform at the highest level in the crunch. He has underperformed every time. The finals in OKC underperformed. The series against the first series against Golden State, where they missed 25, 27 straight threes, underperformed. The series recently where they had KD and then KD got hurt in like game 5 and then they lost game 5 and then game 6 at home, underperformed. Like even this past year, people forget. I know he had like 42 like last night or something, but I ain't heard nothing from this like what's his name, Dork dude from OKC who was shutting him down in game 7. Yeah. Now, yeah, he made the play at the end of the game. He got the block, but let's not forget he had like 10 points the whole game, and that's game 7. And it shouldn't have went that far because OKC wasn't that great. It was just Chris Paul. So I have to see it more from James Harden. You said what?
And Shea,
right. But that shouldn't be enough to take out. That shouldn't be enough to take James Harden and that Rockets team to 7 games. But James Harden was not performing to the level he should have. He did play well in that Lakers series, though. I give him credit. It was Russ that was on some humbug out there. But other than that, Harden, every opportunity he's had to really just knock out that narrative and shed that narrative, he has not taken advantage of the opportunity. And that's why I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I gotta see it to believe it.
You gonna see it?
That same
they
thought.
Get Kyrie out of there.
They ain't gonna get Kyrie out of there, bro.
Nah, I know.
In the postseason, they gonna need. Trust me, they gonna need Kyrie, bro. But
we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he doesn't take a 2-week break. That's
right. But I don't want to let Tyler go without bringing up this topic. Y'all know where I'm going with it. But I want to introduce this topic a special way. So, Tyler, I want to ask you this question specifically, and I want to see your face as I ask it. If LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers win the finals, but not only just win the finals, let's say they get like the 5th seed, right? And they play, I don't know, Portland in the first round, and then they play, they play the Clippers in the second round, and then they play Utah or the Suns in the conference finals, and they beat them. And then they go in the finals and they play a healthy 100% Brooklyn Nets team, and they win that series, and Bron is finals MVP. Does that make him the GOAT? And if it does not make him the GOAT, what would it take for LeBron to be the GOAT if he can still get to that level over Michael Jordan?
Man, no, he wouldn't be. He still wouldn't be my GOAT, bro. he still wouldn't be my GOAT if he won this year. The only way I would change my mind, I feel like, is if he went crazy, like he was averaging, like he put up Jordan numbers. He put up 40 on them boys all throughout the whole playoffs, which you know he's not gonna do. He not gonna average 40 on them boys every series or nothing crazy like that. So no, he not. I don't feel like I would put him as the best ever. But if he rattled off like a 3-peat right now, like I really be looking at it sideways. Like I don't know, and considering if he did it in a convincing fashion, it would be kind of crazy. So
what? Hold on. I hold on. So LeBron wouldn't be the GOAT. He would have to average 40 at the age of 36 to be considered better than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wasn't even playing at the age of 36.
He was.
No, he was 30.
That was this year.
Not putting up.
No, he was 36 in.
I thought he was
7?
No, he was 34.
I thought he was
35. In 98,
like,
97, 98.
I thought he was 35. Oh, okay.
No, he was 34. So LeBron is already 2 years past that. Like where LeBron is at is like pre-Wizards Jordan. And he got to average 40 in the finals?
Because he came back, he was like 39 when he came back with the Wizards. So in 98, that was like what, 2002?
Yeah, that was like 3 years later.
So
he was like 38.
He was like 36. Anyway,
no, he plays at 34.
Jordan, I'm just saying, Jordan, you know what I'm saying? Like we've seen him average 40, 30. LeBron averaged 30 the whole playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Every playoff Jordan was in, he averaged about 30 every playoffs. So it's just like, in order for me to say that he's better than that, I need to see him perform like that. You know what I'm saying? Like he makes up in other ways with his ability to defend different positions and his ability to rebound. I mean, he's a bigger player, but his ability to rebound and pass the ball. But honestly, I've seen better. I've seen better than Bron. That's what I be telling artists. Like I've seen with my own eyes. You know, there's the stat thing. There's the, you know what I'm saying? Oh, he's about to pass Jordan on this stat. He's about to do this. But there's also the eye test, like the hooper eye test. You know what I mean? Like you watching somebody hoop and you just like, okay, they cold, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen anybody better than Jordan with my own 2 eyes, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never seen it. Bron is extremely close. He's extremely close. Like I always tell artists, he's number 2 on the list for me. You know what I'm saying? Or teeter-totter, because I be having cream. You know what I'm saying? Teeter-totter. And he'll
That's
like
what
that.
you be capping. That's what you be capping. That's what that is. That's what you be trying to cap, bro.
I don't know. I don't know. What is it gonna take? What is it gonna take for him to be considered better?
I think honestly,
if he won last year, if he come in, he win this year, and then he win next year, he just ran off a 3-peat. he hasn't done a three-peat yet. It's been broken up rings here and there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he hasn't had like a long dominance period where he's winning rings. Like, Kobe got a three-peat. You know what I mean? Like, get a three-peat, bro.
So if he three-peats at the age of 40, then you would consider him better than Jordan.
I'd definitely be looking at him a little differently. I ain't gonna lie. Like, you know.
He ain't gonna full out just be like, yeah, I think he'd be better than Jordan. He rephrase it like, I'll be looking at him a little differently. But that little differently will probably be
the thing about Bron.
1B.
This is the thing about Bron. Like, Bron, honestly, probably if you look at his career is as a whole, like, he probably is the best like NBA player that you will see. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as like just NBA like stats, you know, he's probably gonna end up with the all-time points, you know, total. He's probably gonna end up somewhere in the top 15 in like rebounds or, you know, assists. He's gonna be up there. Like, he's gonna be a person that, you know, he's gonna be found on every stat list, you know, in the books, right? So his career as an NBA player is great. Like, it's awesome. But like, as a hooper, bro, like as a straight, like as a person that like, you know, you need to get a bucket, bro. Like, Bron isn't a person I'm thinking about. You know what I mean? When it comes to like just straight hoop, you know what I mean? I'm thinking about Jordan. Like, Jordan gonna go out there and get the buckets by any means necessary. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen better, bro. In the era where there's more scoring, there still isn't a person that's scoring more than Jordan. And he didn't shoot.
Yeah, that's because they're playing more talented athletes.
Bro, okay, well, you substitute the talent for the physicality then, because just because they didn't have as much talent, you know what I'm saying? I feel like the physicality is completely different as well. And that's another obstacle that he had to face. You know what I'm saying? They had a big man that was almost an all-star on every team. You know what I mean? So when he went in there, he was dunking on people. It was over centers. It was over Mutombo. It was over Ewing. You know what I'm saying? It was over Alonzo Mourning. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it wasn't a whole lot of guards that was extremely athletic that can keep up with him on that particular level. And honestly, Jordan was a freakish athlete. It's probably nobody in the league right now that can keep up with him. He had a 48 vert. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, Jordan was a freakish. And then think about putting that type of athlete in today's world of medicine, in today's world of training. You know what I'm saying? All the knowledge that they know about how food responds with your body and all of that stuff. Jordan would be an animal today. With his mentality.
No, he wouldn't, because he couldn't shoot the three.
Huh?
He couldn't shoot the three. Or let me guess, he would just gain that ability.
That work ethic couldn't get efficient with the three.
There it is. I love when we get to that point of the Jordan debate where we just start giving him abilities, like as if LeBron wasn't playing in the 90s at 6'9", 280. He wouldn't be bullying people down the court night after night. Come on.
His mentality would have to be completely different. His attitude would have to be completely different. He doesn't have the attitude of a player in the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
You talking about Bron?
Yeah. If we're talking about mentality and how people, their thought process out there on the court and how they move, you know what I'm saying? Like, Jordan, he will be able to translate easily. He will bully these kids out here. If you really think about it, he was bullying them cats back then. And they was trying to slam him to the ground. You mean to tell me these boys over here you can't even touch and he not going to dominate these cats, dog? We just seen Kobe leave the game.
I mean,
Kobe for that same cloth.
I mean, I still feel like both of them are generational talents that can play in any generation. My stance on it is still.
That wasn't me saying that he can play in the 90s, because I feel like he will be cold in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? But who's to say he won't be like another Dominique Wilkins or somebody like that?
Nah, bro.
That's disrespectful.
It's a difference, bro. Nah, bro. Nah, I can't let you get away with that one, bro. You put your super cap on for that one, Tyler.
is him. If that's LeBron in the 90s, who is Jordan today? Paul Pierce, the modern era.
Bro, you crazy, bro.
if Bron is dominant,
Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce, mid-range game, no perimeter shot.
I still feel like Bron gets a bad rap for his finals losses because the teams he's played against. I still feel like we've had this conversation before, me and Tyler, that is. I feel like the competition that he's played in the finals has been insane compared to the competition that Jordan played in the finals. That's just me. I feel like in Jordan's era, he had to deal with a lot of bigs, and he had to deal with that his bigs had to deal with that matchup, right? But I think in this era, the game has changed so much, and maybe that's because of Jordan and because of, Kobe and Steph. Maybe it's because of them, but nevertheless, LeBron has to deal with a lot more guard power. He has to deal with a lot more one-on-one ISO ball kind of thing. And he got to deal with a lot more athletes at his own position or at the shooting guard position going at his neck more so than Michael Jordan did. Now, he had, his Isaiah Thomas, and, you might have had Michael Cooper, and you might have had a few players here and there, Clyde Drexler. But, I still don't think any of them are like a Kobe or like a T-Mac or like a Wade, or definitely not like a KD. And that's where I feel like it gets kind of smeared. You know what I mean? I feel like Jordan, and again, I've said this before, Jordan is not 6-0 if he goes up against the same talent that LeBron's had to face in the finals. It's no way. No, I don't think he's not beating. Now, this is what I will say for the record, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, but it's the truth. He probably would have at least one more ring than Bron. I will admit that, because I don't know if he did Dallas.
He probably would have won that Spurs series, the second one that they lost.
I give him
probably got that ring, and he would have had the Dallas ring. That's not even a question.
That's the ring I would say I give it to. I give him the Dallas ring. The Spurs are different though, bro. The Spurs, Greg Popovich. At the time, they had Kawhi too. You got Tim. You got Tony and Ginobili. I'm just not. Especially if he had to play with that same Miami Heat team where you got D Wade half of himself averaging like 14 points a game. That's tough. That's my only thing.
I get that. His team was kind of ran down. Now I think about it, yeah, his team was kind of ran down. But I don't know. I just feel like, Jordan was just the kind of cat that just went after it. You know what I'm saying? He was going to do whatever it took. And if he was going to have to drop 50, 60 on you, you know what I'm saying? If he was going to have to go on where he was dropping 40, 50 every night, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was going to try to do that. You know what I mean? So I just feel like he would have gave him a better shot than Bron would have. You know what I mean? And that Dallas one, it's not even a question. You know what I'm saying? Like, the point margin of the victories was like 5 points. You know what I mean? So it's like you losing each game 5 points on average. And you averaging 16, 17 points a game where you normally average almost 30. Like, come on, bro. Like, that just don't make sense. So that's really my biggest knock. When you look at the whole career, that's my biggest knock is his performance in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he had came out and did his thing, whether they won or lost, if he had came out and was dropping 30 a game or 28, 29, whatever, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't hold that over his head as much. I always tell you that, like, it's the performance. Like, you can lose it, but if your star player was trash, then that star player really don't have an excuse because he was trash, right?
He was trash.
You would think.
He wasn't the best.
Yeah.
I say, and I'll leave it at this. I personally think that Bron 2000, I cut it at, and Tyler don't like when I do this, but I like to do it. 2015 to now, Bron is the GOAT. That's just me. Now, I don't want to go too deep into Miami and the Mavs series and when he lost to the Spurs and the first Spurs series, but 2015 to now, when he had the 3-1 comeback, when he led them to the finals and dropped 50 in game one, but JR blew the game, this championship with the Lakers, what he's been able to do recently has been, I haven't seen it. That's just me. But KC, I don't know if you can excuse it, but I can't excuse some of the stuff of the past, man. I can excuse a lot of things, but I can't come up with an excuse for that Mavs series. That's the one thing that kind of stumps me, and I try to just skate around that. but I can't. It's
Nah.
only so much I can do about that one.
You can't skate it. You can't skate around that. Listen, I'm a big LeBron fan. He does have some holes on the resume. That's just period. But I do want to kind of move on a little bit because I do have a bone to pick with Tyler. AJ, you know this. Tyler, I don't know if you know, but I got something I want to read to you, right? So just for the Bridge the Gap fans, this was a comment that was made under one of the Bridge the Gap episodes about like preseason awards. Basically, I had a dark horse MVP candidate by the name of Devin Booker, and this was the comment made by Mr. Tyler over there, and it says Book ... Not even gonna be top 5 ... Maybe he'll be top 10 ... He a dark horse in terms of MVP. Now I don't know if you've seen the standings lately, Tyler, but the Phoenix Suns are have the second best record in the league. I don't know if you've seen it, but what are your thoughts on Devin Booker and what you've seen from the Suns this year?
He balling, Devin Booker. That wasn't a knock on Devin Booker. You know what I'm saying? Devin Booker is a definitely top 10 talent, but MVP, no. I feel like the MVP of that team will be Chris Paul. He came to the team, they was barely skating, teeter-totting playoffs. They went on that great run in the bubble, but other than that, the Suns really ain't been nothing to watch like that. Devin Booker been good, but the rest of the team ain't. And I feel like Chris Paul, the way he just orchestrates the offense and runs the team, I feel like it always elevates that team to a whole nother level. So the MVP of that team is Chris Paul, most definitely. I feel like Chris Paul is the top 5 MVP candidate. Booker, I could probably find 10 people that I would put in that list before.
Booker.
So All-Star nod.
Time out, they kept winning.
What'd you say?
Booker spent some time out and they kept winning.
I want to ask you this. All-Star nod, would you have given it to Chris Paul over Devin, or would you have given it to Devin over Chris?
As a fan, I'm gonna give it to Booker. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to see the young players out there a little bit. But Chris Paul is the all-star. I feel like Chris Paul is just a perennial all-star on the team. So,
that's cap.
I really said that's cap.
Excuse me, AJ. I just don't understand what the hate is about.
Honestly, both of them are supposed to be all-stars. If we are to be real, both of them are supposed to be all-stars.
That's fair.
What was you gonna say, KC?
No, I was just gonna say and AJ knows, like, I don't understand what it is about Devin Booker. Maybe it's because he plays his games at 11 o'clock on the East Coast. I really don't know. Maybe people aren't up to see him play. But like, we sit here and don't get me wrong, Chris Paul has been a very important piece to Phoenix's success this year. But if you take Devin Booker off the Phoenix Suns, the Phoenix Suns are not the second best team in the league. If you take Chris Paul off the Suns, we saw Phoenix starting to figure it out. Remember last year, pre-COVID, DeAndre Ayton, he missed like 30 games or however many games because he was out on suspension. He started to come back. They started to figure out. They went undefeated in the bubble. I just think the trajectory was already trending up. I think if you take Chris Paul off the Suns are still a playoff team. But if you take Devin Booker off, no chance.
I don't think I'd agree with that. Just who's in the AFC right now?
In the West?
Yeah.
Look that up real quick.
The West, it is Memphis.
And what's their record?
27-25.
Okay, so I feel like they will be somewhere trying to get in that 8th spot if they took Booker off, and no, if they took Chris Paul off and kept Booker. if they take Booker off and keep Chris Paul, I feel like they're going to have the same type of seeding as OKC did last year in the 4 or 5 spot. Because that's just what Chris Paul does. Like, he makes his teammates better. The Suns have a solid team now. Like, it really ain't just them two now. They have a solid team, and I feel like Chris Paul makes them better. He's averaging 9 assists right now. You know what I'm saying? And I think this probably maybe the most he's averaging like the last few years. Maybe.
At the start of the season, now I told you this, Tyler, and you was like, pretty much, in other words, that's cap. But I'm gonna say it again. I think this is like the 3rd time I've said it this year. As long as they don't run into the Lakers, which I don't believe they will, because if the Lakers stay in the 5th seed, they'll play the Nuggets, and then after that they advance. They play probably the Jazz. If the Jazz don't choke, which they might, you never know. The Suns are going to be in the Western Conference Finals. I'm trying to tell y'all, they go on to the Western Conference Finals. Do any of y'all object to that take now? Because it's like a lot of people was like, "Oh, you sound crazy to start the season," but that Chris Paul effect, the Suns are going to the Western Conference Finals.
No,
that did sound a little crazy in it. So, I mean, you know, that was just a natural reaction. But actually seeing them play and how they gelling, like, you know, they seem like they had chemistry from the jump. And I mean, I guess that's a Chris Paul thing. You know what I'm saying? Every team that he's been on, they have, you know, some type of extra chemistry, you know? So, I mean,
KC, who they losing to?
I don't know exactly who if they don't meet the Lakers. I'm gonna tell you what the Western Conference Finals is gonna be, because this team right here is quietly this is how they like to do it. The Los Angeles Clippers. I think this year we get the Battle of LA. Kawhi has been quietly putting up a very solid season, 25, 8-8, robotic numbers. And I think this version of Kawhi and the Clippers is a lot better than last year's version. And the only reason I say that is because no one expects them to win. And when Kawhi is in those situations, he usually performs at a higher level than when he has the expectation, as we saw last year.
KC, it has nothing to do with Kawhi, bro. We know who this going to boil down to. We know who it's going to boil down to. That's
Chris Paul.
Playoff P, pandemic P, whatever we want to call that, man. They're going to need him to step up and be that second wheel. Yeah, they got Rondo, and Rondo's going to help out with that. But do we trust Paul George? Let's be real. Now, I said this last year. I think KCU was on board. Tyler, you wasn't. I said this last year. Playoff P, Paul George do not show up when it mattered most. And we saw it in the first round, and then we saw it in the second round. Now, maybe people saying it's because of the bubble or whatever. It also happened at OKC, back-to-back years. So I'm not sure Paul George is going to show up. And if Paul George, they're going to need Paul George to show up. If Paul George is not there, they don't have a shot. They get out the first round. But Kawhi can only do so much by himself, because Kawhi is more like he has that LeBron, he has that like Kobe style of play, right? He's more of a scorer. He's more of a give me the ball on the block, turn around, fade. He's that kind of guy. Go pick my spots. He's not a guy that's going to, get you involved and find you on the floor. He's not like a LeBron style player where it really don't matter who's helping him out. He going to get to where he's trying to get. He going to need Paul George to go out there. And Paul George has been silently killing as well. He has been doing well. But in the playoffs, Paul George has not been that dude the last like 3, 4, dang near 5 years. And that's why I don't see them getting out of the second round, especially if they play Phoenix. I don't see it. Because Devin Booker and Chris Paul, they're going to show up. And Devin Booker can score with Kawhi. And Chris Paul in the playoffs, if PG ain't playing like PG, he can outperform Chris Paul, or he can outperform PG on both sides of the floor, scoring, facilitating, doing it all. I don't see it. PG got to show me. PG got to show me, because he been folding a lot lately, and they going to need that boy. That's just me.
PG needs to show up. If he don't show up, the Clippers ain't it. But, I want them to succeed, so. And I feel like if PG show up, I feel like they could find themselves in the finals. So
not happening.
My thought.
I don't know if they make it to the finals, but listen, if the Lakers aren't healthy, I don't want to see the Clippers right now.
That's another reason why I'm kind of like, reserving about the Lakers because they don't seem like they, we got to see them healthy. AD ain't played, Brian ain't played. We got to see how they come back. So
if
they come back healthy, we will probably see the Lakers coming out.
If we need AD to be, now with the addition of Andre Drummond, we need AD to be at least 70% of himself to get to the finals. I think we need him to be at least 70% of himself. But I do think that if AD is out there, even if AD is only, so y'all know in the playoffs, AD, he can go for 30, he can go for 40, but if AD can give us 20 and 10, we get into the finals, bro. And it don't matter who we play. I think we get to the finals. I think if AD is not himself or he doesn't play, he will struggle with the Clippers. But again, that's only if Paul George shows up. If Paul George don't show up, Brian gonna take them boys. Watch. Watch. If he don't show up, Brian sending them boys home, bro. And it's gonna be 6 games. Watch. Remember I said it. I'm trying to tell y'all, with the addition of Andre Drummond, I'm not saying he's AD, but playing alongside LeBron, Andre Drummond can get you 15 and 10. He can get you 20 and 10 here and there. We just saw him do it without Brian. So he has the potential to do that. So I don't know. And I don't trust nobody else in the West. When it comes to playing against LeBron, I don't trust anybody else in the West.
That's true.
But the Clippers, and honestly, and this is the last one of the last thing I'll say, because I know we got to wrap up. Denver was the one team I was nervous about. If I'm gonna be 100, Denver was the one team where I was like, even if AD come back like AD, we probably gonna struggle with Denver this year, because the addition of Aaron Gordon was huge. But now, unfortunately, that Jamar Murray went down. Now they're not really a factor to the Lakers or to the Western Conference like that anymore. The Clippers will be the other team to look at. And again, Paul George, man.
So you was just big up in the Suns. Like, you think it's gonna be sweet for them to go against the Suns?
No, I don't think it'll be sweet, but I think that's where the buck will stop for them, though, because I feel like going against LeBron and going against the Lakers, an experienced bunch, one of the best defensive teams in the league, I think they'll run into problems with the Lakers, especially down on the block. And then dealing with Bron. They got nobody to deal with Bron. I mean, it's one thing to have bodies to throw at them, but they really got nobody to throw at Bron. Chris Paul can only do so much, and Devin Booker is nice, but we got a lot of bodies to throw at D-Book. A lot of bodies. We can throw Schroeder at D-Book. We can throw Caruso, who's a great defender. We can throw KCP at him. We can throw Bron at him. We can throw Keith at him. You know what I mean? Like, we got a lot of bodies. Who? McLemore. We got a lot of bodies that we could throw at Book to kind of slow him down a bit. And y'all know the young guys don't really be. The Celtics was the one team that had a bunch of young guys that really pushed Bron to the limit, but even they wasn't able to really get over the hump against Bron. So the one team that has the potential that could possibly actually beat them will be the Clippers, but I don't think they're gonna get there. So, and even if they do, like I said, PG got to show up. So that's just me. But Bridge got fans. It has been fun. We're going to wrap this on up. Champ, it's been fun having you on, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, definitely.
Go ahead,
fun.
rock the belt. Go ahead, rock the belt. It's been fun having you on, man. It's been a blast. It's been a pleasure. Any signing off words, KC?
Tyler, it's been good to rap with you, man. You got a nice little sports IQ. And we definitely have you back, man. It's been real.
Cool. Just let me know.
All right, man.
Sure.
Y'all, it's been fun. It's been a pleasure. We'll catch y'all next time on the next episode of Bridge the Gap.